Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is week 4 of Satya, or Truthfulness. Satya is the Sanskrit word for truthfulness. We are following along in this video series in the Yamas Niyamas, Exploring Yoga's Ethical Code by Deborah Adele. If you are not following along with the book, that's fine. If you want to go back and start watching the series up until now, and just kind of follow along with the activities, by all means. But if you're following along in the book, awesome. If you've read it at some point and just these videos are helping give a little bit more context around what we're reading as we study these yamas and niyamas, great. So we are on week 4 of Truthfulness. And in this video, we'll be talking about how truth is fluid, truth has weight, and there is power in truth. And this is how we will be closing out the Yama of Satya. Truthfulness. I love it. So let's go. So in this section, truth is fluid, Deborah Adele talks about how our truth will change. What our truth is will change at times. It will change depending on the situation. It will change depending on what our beliefs are. You know, your truth today may not be what your truth was 10 years ago. And that's okay. As people, we grow, we evolve, we change. So that makes sense. And that we need to let the truth be as fluid as it can be without us, I want to just add this, without us directly contradicting ourselves. There are so many times in my life that I have found that my truthfulness in that moment may not directly align with a belief system that I had, that I wasn't really sure why I still had it. And the more I explored it, the more I realized that my truth on that subject was maybe different. So then I changed the belief. And there might be other times where you might believe in something and then find that the true truth of who you are doesn't align, and that maybe you need to change. You're the one that needs to do the self-exploration and change. And that's a beautiful, wonderful thing as well. It's all about growing and evolution here. With all of this, and that's so wonderful. So the examples that she gives about truth being fluid is, you know, holding the examples that she gives in this section, holding a tough intervention for someone that you know is going through and battling alcoholism in itself holds truth. But it's also truth to praise a child for their really hard work on a project in school. And that holds truth. Two totally different concepts, two totally different contexts, but both are truthful. And she writes in this section, to be a bold person of truth is to constantly look for what we are not seeing and to expose ourselves to different views than the ones we hold sacred. As Yogi Raj Akela reminds us, what are you not seeing because you are seeing what you are seeing? And that's like I just said, we may have an ingrained belief system within ourselves that no longer holds true for us, or it's not the truth. Or we have a belief system, which I have many, that I feel strongly like this is what makes a good person or a better person, and this is something about me and my personality and how I'm doing this certain thing that needs to change. I'm the one that needs to evolve and change. If you want to evolve and change, but you're finding that your belief system doesn't allow you to evolve and change, like we just talked about in the last video, then that's where you have to make some tough choices as to what's going to help you grow, what's going to help you evolve. But it's about making sure that you're not holding on to a belief system that isn't necessarily the truth for your truth anymore, if it's stopping your evolution and your hindrance to grow. And an example that I gave in the last video that I'll talk a little bit more about now is potentially within a religious group. If you are raised in Buddhism and you're now 18, 19, 20 years old and you're finding that you want to explore eating animal protein, eating meat, then, you were raised your whole life as a vegetarian, that just isn't a way that you want to live anymore, or it's just not something that you might understand the reasons why, the compassion component of Buddhism and why that is a practice within that faith. But that may not be a chip that directly resonates with you, that you feel as though, as long as you know the source of where the meat's coming from, you know that it's been ethically sourced, you understand that, and you want to try it, if that somehow creates a rift for you within your Buddhist community or within your family or whatever, you might want to step away and explore that. Why shouldn't you explore that? It's not bad to eat meat, but if you're a Buddhist, you believe that it's not a direct act of compassion. And that's what I'm talking about. That's a beautiful teaching, and I'm using Buddhism as an example because I'm trying to get away from always using examples of Christianity, because there are so many dare I say, just conflicting, or I don't really know what I'm trying to say, or contradicting beliefs within Christianity. And a lot of us like to point fingers at Christians. And again, I'm a Christian. I understand why. I totally get it. I don't like a lot of Christians I meet, and I don't like the standard stereotype of most Christians that I meet. But I do think that they've become a bit of a punching bag for the broader mainstream here in America, and just a lot of videos that I see on YouTube here. And that bothers me, because there are laws and rules within every faith that may or may not align directly with someone, and I think it's healthy for us to look at them all fairly. So that's all I try to do, is I try to keep it a level playing field and make sure that we're being fair. That was just a mouthful for me to wrap my mind around, because I didn't know I was going to go there, but I went there, so that's okay. So in truth being fluid, that's what we're saying. Are you really seeing what's true, or are you seeing it through a lens of belief systems of like what you've been taught? And are you really seeing truth, or are you seeing a hazy, foggy version of what that is? And are you able to step beyond that and truly find what is true for you? So truth is fluid, and it will change. It'll change in situation. It'll be situational, and it'll change personally with you in your life. The guideline of truthfulness asks us to update our beliefs and values and views in order to stay current with ourselves and our surroundings. And that is so, so important, to make sure that we're being accepting and that we're understanding, truly, fully understanding, not just through our tinted lens, of what is the truth and the core of what's going on. And it's important work. Important work to do. And the next section of this is about truth having weight. So Deborah Adele talks about here how she has a friend. Her friend's name is Anne. And she says, I remember hugging my business partner Anne one day and telling her that she was thick. She looked a little taken aback until she explained that she could feel her boldness and the depth of her personal integrity in who she was. Because the more truthful we are with ourselves, the more we come into being who we are. And people see that. That's a heavy weight that's in the room. When you're the one, I've always been the one. And I always say ignorance is bliss, and I'm not ignorant. So at times life has been quite the struggle for me, because when you see the truth and you see it and you see what is, it can be a struggle. When you're that one person in the room, people typically know that you're that one person in the room, and they know that you're just not buying whatever they're selling. So that can be beautiful, because in a lot of ways, I have a lot of very authentic, beautiful relationships in my life that don't cross the healthy boundaries that I have set for myself, I also don't get taken advantage of a lot. And this came on the back of me at one point in my life, that happening a lot, and me having to do this work. This work is work, and it matters. It's important. There's a huge element of just not being concerned about what other people think about me, and just doing those things that are in alignment with my beliefs, in alignment with who I am, and continuing to evolve and figure out who I am. But I know that there's a weightiness to me. I know that when other people see me and they truly see me, that that's what they see. And I want them to see integrity. I want them to see someone that's truthful and not just some topical person that's just always wearing a mask with them, that they're getting something authentic with me. And I love that. To me, it's just the core of love, is being honest about who we are. This is written in this section, Truth Has Weight. They know that staying present with the truth of the moment will add more depth to their lives and grow them up to be creative and responsible versus becoming a person who walks around with the subtle rescue me sign. Which that is what happens when we run from life. When we run from life and we don't lean into what is, we're always looking for something outside of ourselves to point the finger, to blame, instead of just going like this and doing the work. It's not anyone else, it's you. We all get the hand we're dealt, as good as it can be and as bad as it can be. In the worst day, we get what we get, and it's our job to do our work. Nobody else's. There are no saviors here that are going to swoop in and rescue you from you. And that is just such a strong, big lesson that I've had to learn in my life, and I'm grateful for it. She goes on to talk about the weightiness of truth, and she talks about being on a trip and in Central America, and she said she witnessed the pathos of a situation in which a pit bull killed a small dog. A few days later, her son was in a pet store, overheard the manager tell one of the new clerks that in order to sell the pit bull puppy they had to tell customers it was an American Terrier. So just pretty much a lie about the breed. This is an effort to construct barriers to hide truth, seems to me like a contagious disease in our country. What are we so afraid of? And as you know, as I sit here with Miss Paula here, my AM staff mix back here, I never shy away if people are like, what is she? And I always say she's AM staff or she's bully breed. But this is what we do because we hide behind stigmas, that we don't want to deal with our preconceived ideals that we might have about something and see, well, maybe that's not true. Maybe every dog isn't that way. Or maybe there's a specific reason why that one dog was that way. And we hide from our truth. We hide behind things, which is just such a deep, big, profound reason why so many people lie. So many people lie. Relationships, marriages, families destroyed by a lie, which is just unnecessary. Stand in your truth and be honest about it. And in the next section, there's the power of truth. She talks about Gandhi reading his autobiography and about nonviolence, how we can use compassion to contact this truthfulness in every moment, and how Gandhi's autobiography talks about how the biggest goal of his life was to truly live and find truth in every moment, and just how hard that can be. And just, man, can you imagine all the moments, all the times in our life that if we were just in true truthfulness the entire time, what that would look like for us. So that brings us to week 4 activity. Week 4, last week, of Satya, truthfulness. This week, look at ideas and beliefs that once served you and now have become archaic. You may unknowingly be holding on to things that you no longer need. Honor these beliefs because, like a vehicle, they brought you to your current place on your journey. As you let go of what no longer serves you, pay attention to where denial shows up and celebrate your movement toward a clearer, more authentic you. Watch how this exercise frees your energy for the further emergence of your authentic realness. So this is a huge one. This is a lot of work. It was a lot of work for me to do, and I will say it's definitely something that, 1 week, that's a lot. That's a lot, man, to look at in your life, because I would encourage you to explore everything, everywhere you go, everything you do. One example that was given in the Power of Truth section of the book was, the man who stays in the job that's soul-sucking, that he absolutely hates. He never sees his family. He works so much, but he makes a ton of money, versus going and doing something that he loves, but running the risk of making significantly less money, but having more time freed up to see and spend with his family. Where does your truthfulness lie is what it comes down to. And do you have spaces in your life that are cluttered with things that are just no longer serving you? And that might mean exploring really deep things that have been ingrained in you from the time you're a kid. It could be religious affiliation. It could be belief systems around money, around what your capacity is to achieve things in life. I'm all about a hustle. I love a hustle. I love a work. I talk about work a lot because I like to work. But one of the things, as much as I love a hustle, and a hustle can sometimes be struggle inducing, I don't spend a lot of time talking about the struggle. It's negative, and a lot of times we fall into these beliefs that we have, and these false beliefs start to become our story. And I think that for some of us, we love our stories. We love talking about our struggles, but then when, like, to an outsider, maybe, it's subjective, right? Like what a struggle is to one person versus a struggle for someone else. We have to change our thinking. You have to change your thinking if you want to grow, if you want to evolve, and if you really are trying to figure out who you are and, who you were created to be, if that's what you believe. If you don't believe that we were just some cataclysmic accident that just happened to happen, and that you were created for a specific purpose, it's the ultimate question that so many of us just struggle, because that answer takes work. And I believe that work and belief system can go hand in hand, and I believe that it does. It's still always deeper than just the most topical belief. So know that and understand that, but don't get stuck in your story. Don't get stuck in just some false reality you have to create for yourself. Or a belief system that, just you go to school and then you graduate and then you throw crap at a wall, see what sticks, and then take that job and then just spend the rest of your life doing that, and then you can't figure out why you're miserable, because then it really doesn't matter, because we're all going to just die anyway. And if that's how you believe, then this is probably not the video for you. But if you're trying to be a better you and have a better tomorrow and have a better life for yourself and feel like you're living more in direct alignment for what you were put here to do, which I know so many of us are, I encourage you strongly to do this work and not feel pressured that it has to happen within 1 week of time, because that's big. It's big. I would set aside maybe 10 or 15 minutes each day to think about just a different facet, different area of your life. Family, work, faith, whatever else you have going on in your life, and health. And just see where you're being truthful with yourself and where you're not. And know what those changes could incite may not be seen as positive right now. But I trust, and I believe that down the road they will be. But with that, this is where I will leave you. Be well, give thanks, be grateful, and until next time,